2, 1, 0.
Welcome back to Tamra Simon's Live and the Real Estate Power Chat. This is episode 9, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have Sabrina Martinez with us today as she shares her real estate journey, because it's not been that long since she's been in real estate, but she's got an amazing story to tell. But as you know, first things first.
This is Tamra Simon's Live, where real estate agents from around the globe come together to grow, collaborate, and expand their business. Where we take our inspiring conversations and put them together to create dynamic connections. This is the Real Estate Power Chat.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you here. Just so everyone knows, this is Sabrina Martinez. Her and I are both associated with EXP and in the same line. And if I can't tell you the pleasure I have of knowing this lady. She is amazing. She's so classy, and I can't wait for everyone to get to know her better. Thanks for joining me today, Sabrina.
Absolutely. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Right on. So everybody knows, let's a little bit about Sabrina. Who is Sabrina?
That's a loaded question. Well, I mean, for here and the people that are watching, I'm an agent. I'm a realtor. I've been licensed for about 1.5 years. But I'm not new to the industry. I've been in the industry we're pushing 15 years. Prior to getting my license, I worked in mortgage servicing. So I was on the front lines during the crash, helping the big banks do modifications and short sales and running those processes. So I'm certainly not new to the game. But yeah, outside of that, I have 3 boys. So I'm a busy mom. They're 9, 13, and 19. And a great boyfriend. We have a French bulldog and a cat. And yeah, so I love my family and love my career.
You're living the life, lady.
Yes.
So how did you get your start in real estate? I mean, you started in mortgage. How did you pick mortgage to go into? Because you and I have a little bit of a intermingling right there, because I did short sales for years.
Yeah.
And so you and I kind of have a little bit of a background there. So I just really like to know how you chose mortgage as a career.
Sure. Well, initially, to be perfectly honest, I was, I think I was like 24 when I first started with that company. So initially it was just a good paying job. I didn't have any background. I worked for a title company very briefly, but that was the extent. Never purchased a property myself, did not know anything about the industry. It was just a good job. And then I spent the next 12 years there moving up in the company. And when I left, I was director of operations over modifications and short sales, but primarily short sales. That was my baby. So it's a process that I'm very familiar with. I have to apologize for everybody who was on the other side of the transaction. I was the one pushing back on your sneaky little short sale transaction fees and, arguing the BPOs. Like I was the bank pushing back. So I really got to see the business from that side. Also got to see those commissions, and it was like, they're making a pretty good living out there. So I got tired of, the corporate grind. I was working a lot of hours, had a lot of pressure. I didn't aspire to move up to the VP level, and that was kind of the next step in the corporate journey. But I looked at their lives, and they were chained to their desks and chained to their phones, and they lived and breathed their work. And I really wanted to find something that balanced my home life and work a little bit better. So I left corporate. And initially was just going to get my license for investing purposes. I'm very passionate about real estate investing. And so that was kind of the initial plan. and then just absolutely fell in love with it, and get really excited to help my friends and family and other clients with these big purchases and kind of guide them through that process. And I have quite a bit of background and experience with negotiations, working for the bank for short sales. So I find that helps as well. So yeah, that's
absolutely
how I got here.
That's a great journey. Short sales were, one of my, passions when I was doing that. I mean, I only lost one to foreclosure, and I pat myself on the back for that, because there was many that ended up there even though they were trying to short sell.
For sure. From the bank side of it, there were very few agents
that wasn't a great time. That was hard for everyone involved.
For sure.
So let's talk. When you started your, decided to become an agent, and you were doing more on the event, correct?
Sorry, Tamra, you broke up there. What was the question?
Live and
Oh, sorry. I didn't catch it. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
One more time.
No, that's fine. I thought, of course I go live and then I ended up with, laggy internet. So that I apologize for. But no, you had initially got your real estate license just so that you could do more investing. Because I know that you really like to be on the investing side. Do you own many investment properties yourself?
We're working on it. We have just one at this time, but we are right in the middle of a HELOC. It's a pretty good chunk of change. So we're hoping to pick up 2 more with that.
Nice. So when you became an agent, where did you drop your license? Where did you hang your license to begin with?
Initially, I was with KW and then switched. Let's see. I don't know. I guess that was about 6 months into it. I was there for about 6 months, I think.
Nice. And then did you sign over to EXP at that time?
Yeah. So I've been with EXP. It has been a year this month. So I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary with EXP. Yeah.
Oh, so what brought you to EXP? What excited you about, joining EXP?
Well, when I was initially looking at brokerages, I'm a data geek. I'm like a researcher, and so I watched quite a bit. Like EXP, it was actually between EXP and KW from the very beginning. But for some reason, I had it in my mind that EXP may not be a good fit initially, being like brand new agent. I didn't think that, and I'd heard that may not be a good way to go initially. So I picked KW. They had a great vibe. I went in, connected with a lot of people. Their office was really close to where I live. Like it just kind of made sense. But I moved over to EXP after attending a mastermind. We had a lot of the team members that are in Arizona here for a mastermind. And I am a firm believer, that you are the average of the people that you surround yourself with. And so I'm constantly looking to be in rooms where I'm not the big fish. I've always been somebody that's been pretty motivated and naturally, love to lead. And so it's easy for me to step into that role, but I want to continue to grow. And so it was really inspiring to be in this room where I was a minnow compared to them. And that was really exciting to me. It's like, hey, these are the people that I need to be connecting with. These are the people that I want to learn from. Like, this is the level that I am aspiring to achieve. So that was a big one for me. And then also just looking at the business model and, looking forward and, how they are really innovative in technology and, there's no overhead because we're a virtual brokerage. Like there was just a lot that was really appealing to me, looking long term. Another factor was at the time I'm still am, my business kind of is picked up here. So it hasn't been, top priority, but I'm getting dual licensed in Arizona as well. And recognizing that, EXP, I would just have one cap and could be licensed in multiple states. That was definitely something that was really appealing to me as well.
Nice. Well, because I mean, I think there's a misconception as to what EXP can offer. And I think, people believe that it's all about recruiting and it's not necessarily real estate.
For sure.
That you can do both, or you can only, just be an agent. Do you find that that's kind of a misconception when you're talking with other people?
Absolutely. And I guess, the clarification that I always give them is we have to be selling real estate to make any of this successful. Like the model doesn't work unless we're closing deals and we are successful agents. So the entire culture and environment is geared towards making us successful agents first. And also, you're right. Like there's a lot of agents that don't deal with the recruiting, and they're just here because of the amazing technology and here because of the amazing culture and resources that we have, and agent attraction is the last thing on their mind. But what I found is it's something that comes naturally. The conversations just naturally come up as I connect with other agents that are struggling with their brokerage. So it's just kind of something that I didn't initially join EXP to be a part of, but it is something now that this is a way that I can help other agents, and I'm very passionate about that.
Absolutely, because you have actually picked a niche that kind of I hold dear to my heart, and you go into new construction, but you take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I mean, you are this amazing agent out there showing people how different new construction can be and how you can lead them through that transaction. So let's touch base on, your new construction background there, because you do an amazing job at it.
Thank you. Yeah. So new construction was kind of something that I was familiar with because I myself have gone through the process as a buyer, and I absolutely loved it. So it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and working with builders and connecting with builders was something that just came a little bit more naturally because I had that background. But as I got into it, I quickly realized that there were a lot of misconceptions about new construction and an overall lack of agents that were educated on the process to properly represent buyers through the process. I quickly also realized that most of the inventory, and this was, the last couple of years, it's changed a little bit since then, but most of the inventory wasn't even making it to the MLS. And it was my relationships that I had with the builders that made me realize they were calling me when they had contracts that fell through, or they were calling me as soon as a lot came available. And I was getting my clients under contract on properties that most agents had no idea even existed because it never made it to the MLS. So I realized real quickly that it was a relationship-based business, and I needed to spend time networking with the builders and their sales agents and building those relationships. And I also needed to get familiar with the inventory. I also recognized that builders all do things differently, and there's no one place where all of this information is stored. And so it really was going to be up to me to get to understand what their processes were, how they differed, pros and cons of each, and really understand their inventory. So it's a manual process. I don't have the luxury of just plugging this information into the MLS and getting a nice clean spreadsheet of all of my buyers' options. It does require more time. But there's a need for it. And so I've realized that I've quickly set myself apart from most agents because I am approaching it a little bit differently.
Absolutely, because you provide information to the consumer that most people do not give. And you're sharing that so that they have a clear understanding as to what that process looks like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And doing a lot of the legwork initially, so that I can kind of gauge what builder would be a good fit for them. It's not a matter of, let's take you to a few model homes, which I know a lot of agents do. They take them to a few model homes. And from what I've heard from them, and I can see why, is that they really don't know what their place is, because the builder sales agents do a lot of the heavy lifting. So there's kind of this well, how do I provide value? What am I supposed to do? Because it differs quite a bit from a resale transaction. There's a lot of different steps in it. There's an educational piece of it that a lot of agents don't really receive. So it is very different. And I find that, most agents don't have the proper training to know what to do in those situations. So yeah, I find that I provide a lot of value that most realtors don't because of it.
Now you do events for people to come in and learn, of different builders. Can you touch on that a little bit of what you provide for, the consumer and even agents that aren't aware of certain builders that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned, the builders all have different processes. Like no two builders do things exactly the same way. And really the only way that you can get familiar with that is by sitting down and asking the questions of the builder. So I do these events, they're called Brunch with the Builder, where we host, 20 to 30 agents that go to a builder's model. And I sit and ask them a bunch of questions, not only about their process, because obviously that's an important piece to understand what their processes are. Just to give some examples, I'll ask them, if they do highest and best, if they do first come, first serve, if they have an escalation clause in their contract, kind of estimated build times, like things like that, their communication. Talking about the builder realtor relationship and getting the builder's perspective on how can we provide value. Give me an example of a bad realtor experience, like what should we be avoiding, and what's a positive one, and so really opening up that dialogue of, how do we work together? Because I feel like there's a lot of negative connotation in the industry that we're kind of enemies, and I disagree. I mean, our goal is, we all have the same goal. We want a happy client, a client that has, a as smooth process as can possibly be and is happy with the outcome. And really the only way to achieve that is by working together. So the conversation is, how do we open up, we open up that dialogue, and I ask the tough questions. I ask, why they drop their commissions, maybe why commissions are based off of the base price and not the final sales price. So we talk about that and just open up that conversation and give them an opportunity, one, to explain, because I feel like we make a lot of assumptions about why they do things, but also, just to have a conversation about it. It doesn't need to be kind of this taboo topic. We can just talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I find that there's a disconnect between agents and builders. There is a huge disconnect because of an agent's preconception as to what the builder is going to do. They base it on future response versus, okay, let's sit down and figure out how we can work together, how we can better serve our clients, which, it comes back to collaboration. I mean, you have to collaborate and help one another. And that's something that I find that's missing in the industry. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And now that I've really, got pretty close with a lot of builder sales agents and they've opened up to me about it, a lot of them have a lot of stories about agents that have only aggravated a situation or made it more difficult. But I've had situations that things went wrong, and that's just real estate. Something happens, and where builders have bent over backwards to see what they can do to help my client and make exceptions and go way above and beyond because we have that collaborative relationship. Whereas had I been difficult and had I been, somebody that was, combative, it may not have gone that way. They could very easily just say, well, good luck to you and your client. They have a clause in their contract that they can cancel for whatever reason. And then, we'd be out of luck, but because we had that collaborative relationship, it was really like all parties seeing what we can do to make it work.
Yeah. And I think that's huge in what you do. You provide that value because that's not there. And then another thing that you do that I really think is a positive is, when consumers are looking online and they're finding properties and they see a base price, they don't realize that that's just a base price.
Right.
Because, they look at it as the same as resale. Yeah. Oh, well, this is, a resale home and it's this price. Well, yes, But new construction's completely different because that's just the beginning price.
Yeah.
But do you sit down with your buyers at that time and explain how that process works so that they understand that there is some out-of-pocket expense, not like if you're doing a traditional transaction?
Yeah, absolutely. So the conversation is going to be narrowing down what type of new construction they want, because there's different, levels of new construction. It may be a spec house that might be the final purchase price, and it does have all of the design options in it. But if they want to pick their design finishes, or if they want to go custom, then yeah, we're discussing, the additional funds that they'll need if that's the route that they want to go, and talking about pros and cons of that, depending on their timeline, depending on their budget, their available capital, and kind of what their wants and needs are. Then I kind of guide them to what builder may be able to accommodate that.
Absolutely. No, and I think because you've really branched out on your social media and you provide so much value there, um, especially over on Instagram. I mean,
Yes.
I'm like, I really want to do what she does in her stories because they're very attractive and they draw you in.
Oh, thank you.
And so I'm like, I really need to, up my game there. But you're actually getting clients
Hmm.
through your social media platform.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting.
So how does that look? Did you have a strategy? Oh, I'm going to hit, Instagram, and this is where, I'm going to build my base. How did you, decide that, okay, I need to really focus here?
It was mainly because I did not want to cold call and door knock, admittedly. It's like, I am not about that life. How can I avoid that? So that was the main thing, was kind of just, this is the future. When I go and I'm looking for a place to go eat, or if I'm looking for, somebody to do my hair, or a gym to go to, or whatever it is, I go to social media, and I know I'm not alone in that.
Right.
So initially there wasn't much more than thinking maybe this will be, an alternative to a website. But I found that I actually really enjoy it. It's something that I have a lot of fun with. I have a lot of fun in my stories. I feel like that's like the quickest, easiest way. I don't have to edit a lot. I can do just a little snapshot. I know a lot of people love kind of the behind the scenes. I have quite a bit of other agents that follow me, so I try to incorporate stuff more towards clients, as well as stuff, that other realtors may enjoy or appreciate. But yeah, it's just, I really didn't anticipate that I would get a lot of business from it initially, to be perfectly honest, nor did I anticipate that I would be somebody that other people would reach out to and ask me, like, how do I do this? How did you do this? Like, that's still kind of surprising to me, but it works. It really does. I'm pretty vocal that I do new construction as well as investing, and those are the clients that I get. I even get referrals from other agents. I get stuff from out-of-state agents, but I have quite a few people that are like, especially with investing, that come to me, are like, okay, like, let's do this, which I love. I love investors. So yeah, it's been exciting, but now that I am seeing those results, I think I'm getting a little bit more deliberate and intentional with, what I post and how I post and the information. But initially it was just kind of this new thing for me.
That's cool. So how many deals would you say that you have done this year just from your social media?
Well, I would say social media, it's one of two things. I get like direct referrals and people in my inbox wanting to work with me. But I would say the largest portion of my social media is staying top of mind with my sphere. My friends and family follow my page. They engage in my page. They know I'm not a part-time agent. This is not just a hobby. Like, I live and breathe real estate and actually know what I'm talking about. So I get a lot of my sphere that I feel I stay top of mind through my social media, and they come to me. So I honestly would say that all of my transactions in one way or another have come from social media, but the ones that were not, friends or family from before, that are new people that hit me up on social media, I've closed 4 this year just from that.
That's impressive though, because you wasn't doing it intentionally. So it's not like you set out to, build this database of nothing but buyers, sellers, and clients. I mean,
Right.
you just ended up getting them.
Right.
I mean, that's impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
just they reach out to you just because all of a sudden they feel like they like, know, and trust and
They
can
know
trust
me.
you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now I do, now that I am starting to see results, I've since, like I said, I am getting a little bit more intentional. One thing that's really helped me, and I'm fairly consistent with it, is the acronym LCM. So like, comment, message. I try to do that a few a day. I mix it between Sphere, between new followers, as well as mix in agents in there as well.
Absolutely. Now you do another thing also. You meet with other women to empower women to work together and build relationships. And I applaud you for that, because women can be very catty with one another.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'm not even exactly sure why we do that, but women have a tendency to be catty with one another versus lifting one another up
Mhm.
and just getting to know each other. Now
For sure.
you do some meetups that way as well, right?
I do in a few ways. Some of them are super casual, just like networking lunches where we can get together and talk about business and strategy and see how we can help one another. And then I also am one of the original founders of a Utah Women's Real Estate Investor Network. We've just exceeded, I think we're 120 members now. And that's a space that I'm super passionate about as well. I love creating environments that are the opposite of what you described. I love creating environments where we empower each other, that it's okay to be vulnerable and to talk about the things that we're struggling with, and we do it without judgment, and we're there just to see how we can lift each other up and help each other succeed, and hopefully help all of us achieve our goals.
Yeah, I think that's just amazing. And like I said, I really applaud you for doing that, because I find that that's a missing link.
Mm.
Women need to know that it's okay to, do exactly what you just described, be vulnerable and talk about things that, you know, really suck,
Yeah.
and then it's okay. And you can go in there and not be judged for what,
Mhm.
the things that you've just said.
Right. Exactly. And to know that, we've all been there, and you're no less of a realtor, no less of a mom or a girlfriend or a spouse, just because, you struggle from time to time, that this shit is tough.
It is. It
Tough.
definitely is. Well, and that's why I say, I mean, I think that's amazing that you do this, because to be completely honest, I mean, everyone has this, oh, we got to show we're perfect.
Right.
Everything we do is right on
We're
point.
all Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Just
we
be
have no
honest.
faults. We have no faults.
It just doesn't look like perfection.
Right. And that's not life. That's not
Right.
the real world.
Right.
There's days where you're like, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Today sucks, and I haven't even started it just yet, but I can already feel that it's not going to be a great day.
Right.
so
Yeah.
so for you to do all of this, because I mean, I just find that you are just completely classy in the way you handle yourself and the way you're there to motivate others. How does your day start? How do you, I mean, I'm sure you just don't jump out of bed and everything's freaking wonderful. You know,
Wish.
how does your day start? How do you begin to be, okay, I'm going to be Sabrina the mom, I'm going to be Sabrina the work, the woman that goes out there and works with other clients, and I'm going to be Sabrina the girlfriend. How does that morning start? Because there's got to be a routine for you to, keep yourself in this space.
For sure. Well, I like to show up, whether I'm with a client or whether I'm spending time with kids or my family or whatever. I like to show up as the best person that I can be. Like that's something that is super important to me. But I know in order to do that there are some things that I need to do. The biggest thing, the biggest thing is my morning doesn't start in the morning. My morning started either the day before or maybe the Sunday before, where I plan my week. And I'm all about my list. So I have a daily checklist of things that, the things that I need to do. And it's a combination of business. It's a combination of health and wellness. It's a combination of time with my family. Like, it's all in there. If it's not on the list, then I might forget about it. And then, it might be a couple of days and I'm starting to feel down because I don't feel balanced. So I'm very much all about creating lists and being organized in that way. That's just how I function at my highest level is through a list. So Sundays, what I'll usually do is look at the calendar for the week and time block, some important things that I have coming up, meetings, that are kind of non-negotiables. And then my mornings, I already know because the night before I reviewed what was going on the next day. So the morning I'm not feeling rushed, I'm not feeling like unorganized or stressed that I'm, forgetting something or overwhelmed because I know exactly what's on the calendar for the day. So the morning will usually start with me getting up and making coffee, reading. I read a ton. So I try to enjoy outdoor space as much as possible. So I'm usually, out on the patio and having coffee and reading, really just finding that like quiet time to myself before and kind of preparing mentally for the rest of the day. And then I'm pretty active. So working out is something that I do almost every single day. That's super important for me. And then it's, if it's school season, then I'm, getting kids ready. But otherwise it's getting ready. And, I get ready every day. That's something too, is that I find that I don't feel my best, even if nobody sees me. I don't feel my best if I'm, hanging out in PJs all day and, didn't put on any makeup or do my hair. So I get ready every day. And then, stick to my schedule as much as I can, but I don't beat myself up over it. Every day I've got a couple things that are my priority. And if I get more done, great. But I don't stress myself out over it. I make sure that I have enough time in my day to get, 2-3 important things done. And then, I move on from that.
That's good. I'm a true believer of lists. I still do them in paper as well. So.
Yeah. I've tried I've tried other planners and stuff, but I always just go back to, just a paper and pen.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer, but I have journals and journals and journals. I mean, everything that I write down ends up in a hardback copy because I remember, I can go back and say, okay, I jotted this down. So I'm a true believer of that as well.
Yeah.
So how do you go through and protect your mindset? Because that's a huge thing in order to be successful and in no matter what area of your life, you have to protect your mindset. Mm-hmm. What do you do to do that?
That's a great question. I am extremely cognizant of the energy that I allow into my space. So like my bedroom and my home are my peace. It's uncluttered, it's clean, it's minimal, it smells good. So my environment's very important to me. But it's everything from the music that I listen to the TV shows that are on in my home, to, podcasts that I listen to YouTube videos that I watch, to books that I read. I am constantly looking, and people that I surround myself with as well. Like, I'm constantly looking to add positivity into my life and to add encouragement or to add something that's going to improve my life. So I have little tolerance for negativity. And, if I feel that, there's something in my world that's adding a lot of negativity, then it's either a discussion or, I've got to figure out a way to remove it from my life. So I am extremely, extremely protective about, my peace and the energy around me.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. Now, do you do any coaching or anything? Do you have a coach, anyone that, helps you make yourself successful in areas that you might not be?
Not yet. Not in the sense of, I guess not in the general sense. I do have some coaching for some like technical side of it. So our CRM, I have a KV Core coach that helps with, answer questions about utilizing that tool and functionality and different lead gen strategies and marketing. So I do have a coach there. But outside of that, well, I guess I have a personal trainer and she's really good with like mindset. So yeah, I guess I do have a couple coaches. I don't have a real estate coach though. I guess that I know that that's something that a lot of people do that I haven't experienced yet.
Well, and I think you need a coach for, it doesn't necessarily just for real estate, but I think, you need that personal side,
Right.
someone that helps to, kick you in the ass and say, nope, you need to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that helps.
I do that to myself. So that piece of it is like, trust me, I'm beating myself up way more than anybody else would. So, I've always been kind of a high achiever, go getter. And so that's just in my blood. I can't be lazy. It's just not in me.
Yeah. Well, and it shows. I mean, it shows that you're not, because you're, highly successful in making huge impacts in our industry, trying to make it better. So that's a true definition of your character, showing you that, this woman's got some major integrity. So I hold you clear up there, because I think you're really doing a major service to our industry. And so your life's got to be, at least, pretty happy, because, no one that is making an impact can have a shit life.
That's true. That's saying something. No, I am very happy. I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. And, I feel like it is making a difference. And I feel like, the spaces that I'm creating and what I'm putting out there, I know is something that is valued and needed. So yeah, I am very happy. Very happy.
Nice. Now, I know that you're extremely busy and I don't want to take too much time out of your day, but what is just one thing that you would share with my audience right now, that you would, just anything that you'd like to share?
Just in general?
Yep.
Well, one thing that I feel like is talked about, but maybe there's not enough specific information about that. And that is, getting specific on what your niche is and who you want to be serving and what kind of clients that you want to be working with. That's something that has helped me quite a bit. I know most realtors out there kind of generalize themselves. And, if you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, call me. But I'm proof that you can be successful without doing that. And in actuality, more successful, because I'm able to get really, really good in certain types of real estate transactions where most agents out there can't really compete because of my level of knowledge and expertise in the area. And I'm also attracting the type of clients that I want to be working with. I want to be working with people that are looking at new construction. I want to be working with people that want real estate investments and want to grow there. It's what I'm passionate about. So don't be afraid to niche down. You may not see it initially, like right off the bat. It might take some time, but with consistency, you'll start to create a career that you actually thoroughly enjoy and are super passionate about.
Right on. Now, one last thing before I let you go. What is a book that you would recommend anyone needs to read?
One that I'm reading right now, actually, Exactly What to Say. This one is killer, and it's super easy read. I have it right here. It's super easy read. There we go. And I love it. It's like no fluff, no bullshit. Like it. Yeah. It's a big one for sure.
Yeah, I happen to agree. In fact, I keep it right next to me.
Yeah.
And when I'm thinking about something and I'll be like, oh, I just read that in here. So I'll go back and I'll be like reading over it, because I'm a huge reader myself. I read close to probably 400 books a year.
Holy
so
wow.
I'm
not at that level.
I mean, I'm a major reader. That is something that, I'm extremely passionate about. And that's how I come down in the evening, is by reading.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. So that's, just something. So when you said exactly what to say, I love that book. And it's always right there.
I feel like I posted it on my story not that long ago, and only one other agent knew what book it was. I was like, what book am I reading? I left a little clue. I was shocked. Realtors, go pick up that book. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it helps not just in real estate, but it just in general.
For sure.
Because you can have smooth conversations by exactly what you say. I mean, it just makes a complete difference.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I have wanted to, just sit down and talk with you because you're doing great things out there. Keep going, keep making an impact.
Thank you.
Congratulations on becoming a mentor with EXP.
So
I think that's so exciting. I'm a mentor as well, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So congrats.
Thank you.
And thanks again for spending this time with me. And eventually we're going to do lunch.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks, Tamra.
Absolutely. And everyone, we will catch you on the next one. We'll see you on Tuesday.